What's up, fellas? Today we're going to be changing the DCT transmission fluid on a 2009 M3. So first thing you got to do is get the car up in the air. So I put 2 jack stands in the back plus a jack in the rear diff, and I got 2 ramps on the front wheels. So we are ready to get underneath the car. As you can see right there, the transmission pan is weeping a little bit, so we're going to be changing out the fluid, the pan, and the 2 filters, and I'll be showing you guys how to do that today. I took out the cover, the DCT cover already, which is just a couple bolts, pretty easy to access. So getting to this point took about maybe 15 minutes so far. Here's what we'll need. I bought 6 liters of Pentosin FFL4 DCT fluid. This is the OEM fluid that they use in the M3 DCT. We've got the suction filter. This goes inside the DCT box. We've got a new transmission pan. We've got the side filter right here. Side filter, along with a new cap, snap ring or circle ring there. And I bought 2 O-rings for the DCT cooler lines because you have to disconnect those, so might as well change them out. Got a suction pump for pumping the fluid back in, along with your typical wrenches and sockets. This whole kit that I got cost about $450. Make sure you have a good set of snap ring pliers. This one in particular, I had to grind down the edges with a grinding tool just to be able to fit it into the actual C-clip. So first things first, we gotta loosen the fill plug before anything, because if this strips out and we've already taken out the drain plug, then we won't be able to fill the transmission back up. So loosen the fill plug first. It's a 8mm hex, and I'm just gonna use a hex wrench or an Allen wrench and an extra wrench or box wrench for leverage to loosen this up, because it's probably pretty tight. Okay, success, we got it loose. All right, so now that the drain plug, or sorry, the fill plug is loose, we can start to tackle draining the actual fluid itself, which is right over here. So that, I believe, is either an 8mm or a 6mm, so we'll find out. Apologies, that's actually a 10mm hex. So got my 10mm Allen, and we're gonna loosen this up now and drain the fluid. And that was much easier because this is plastic and it's not really tightened tightly at all. Starting to drip out. This is making quite a splashy mess. Alright, so the next thing we need to tackle is the oil cooler line right there. So that's an E10 bolt. We need to take that out, and then we can pull out those 2 oil cooler lines, because right now they're in the way of the side filter on the MDCT transmission. Once again, E10. I don't know how tight this will be, so I'll let you guys know. Not very tight. It's actually pretty loose. Okay, I got the E10 bolt out. Now I'm gonna try and separate this these lines. See what happens. So I'm just wiggling it out because there's O-rings in there. Okay, so there's still a lot coming out here. These are stiff lines, but they will move out of the way, like so. Now the hardest part of this job, I think, is getting these this circlip out using the pliers that I have. We have to basically snap those two rings together and then pull it out. Let's hope I can get it out using this tool I have here without it slipping constantly. The freaking teeth keep slipping off of the C-clip. Damn it. Okay, I get it. So you clip it together, pull down and out. Yeah, boy. Got it. Alright, that's out. So now it's time to get the cap off. Alright, pulled that out with some pliers. It's dripping into my pan now. Okay, let's pull the filter out. Here's the old filter. The new filter looks white, so the old one is doing its job, I guess. Looking out of this black contaminant. Don't mind this wrinkle here. I used a screwdriver to pull this out. There's the inside right there. Okay. Alright, now that we got this out, I'm just working on letting it drain. Alright, next thing we need to do is remove the suction filter, which has, I believe, 2 T30 screws. So let's take that out. My suction device thing here, so it fell into my pan. So this is the condition of the DCT fluid after 105,000 miles. Overall, just a dark green color with some air bubbling, but no metal flakes to be seen anywhere, which is a good sign. I still want to change it out because no fluid is really lifetime. It's always a good idea to change it out. We're gonna get our new suction filter on, but there's a little O-ring right here, so I'm gonna just lube that up with some old transmission oil and then pop this in, put the 2 bolts back on. Once you feel that suction tube seat into the hole, get your bolts in. Okay, I got my torque wrench. So these 2 bolts that hold the suction filter in place is to be torqued to 6 Newton meters. So you need a really small torque wrench to do that. All right, there's the click. So this piece just kind of clips back on. Find the grooves where it connects to, and then it'll click into place. Alright. Okay, now we gotta get this side filter on. I'm gonna get the new one. Okay, so here's the new filter. It's white. We're gonna pop it in there into the groove and then click it into place. Okay, that is in. Here's our new cap and the O-ring. Take some old oil and lube up the old O-ring here. Okay, let's put this in. We're gonna have to kind of hammer that in slowly so that it seats in place to hold that filter. Okay, so you can tell it's all the way in because you can see the little grooves to put your clip are in there. So now I can get that clip back in using the pliers. It's a lot easier to put it in than to take it out, so we'll see if that's true. Here's our new circlip. Alright, it's on. Okay, we got it in. Now we just gotta make sure that the clip is in the right groove. And it's on. That is back in place. Now we can put our oil cooler lines back into their groove. We're gonna put the new O-rings on first. And same thing, we're gonna put some transmission oil on the O-rings to kind of let it slide in there smoothly. Okay, we've got our O-rings on. Now let's put these lines back in to the hole. There's one. Let's put our E10 bolt back on. Alright, I don't have any torque specs for this, so I'm just gonna do tight enough. Do a little quarter turn. Okay, now we're gonna clean up the mating surfaces for the oil pan gasket on the transmission. Don't want any contaminants or dirt messing up the seal here. So you're just gonna hand tighten it. Alright, so I got all the bolts back in. Now I'm gonna tighten them down to 10 Newton meters. So I gotta grab my torque wrench and we're gonna do it in a specific pattern that I will link on the screen. We need to pump the fluid back up into the transmission. So I got the one end of the hose into the transmission fill plug or fill hole. I got that in. So we're filling up the transmission with the fluid now, and I'm using a clear pump so I can see the pump, or I can see the fluid through the hoses. This is the 1st liter. There's the first liter done. I was able to put about 3.5 quarts in before it started pouring out. So now we got to get into the car. We're gonna start the car and rev the engine to 2000 RPM and hold it there for about 1 minute. And at the same time, I'm using Beamer Geek's Pro Tool to monitor the temperature. So I'm gonna use the oil temperature clutch, which is at 86 degrees Fahrenheit right now. So this needs to be between 80 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit while you're filling the rest of the fluid into the engine, and the car is running during this time. So after you've revved the engine for 2000 RPM for a minute, we're going to monitor temperatures and fill in the rest of the fluid, which should take maybe another 2 quarts. So I'll let you guys know what happens then. Alright, so we revved the engine for a minute. Our temperatures now are up to 93 degrees Fahrenheit. So I gotta get underneath the car and quickly fill up the rest. And I'll have my wife kind of let me know what the temperatures are at while I'm filling up. Alright, so I just finished filling in another 2 to 2.5 liters of DCT fluid into the transmission while the engine was running. And as soon as I finished, it was right at 104 degrees Fahrenheit, so just made it in time. Took maybe about 3 to 4 minutes to do all that. Here's the old oil pan from the transmission. Not a lot on there. The fluid looks pretty good, being 105,000 miles, but it's more just for peace of mind to last another 100,000 miles on this transmission. Okay, so we got the oil change for the transmission done and changed out all the filters and the pan, so hopefully that prevents the leaking or stops the leaking. And from here I'm just going to drive the car lightly and kind of monitor the temperatures and check underneath if there's any leaks, but I didn't see any when I was running the car earlier and revving it through to 2000 RPM for a minute. So thanks again for watching, guys. That's DIY on how to change the fluid on your DCT, your DCT M3. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.